Grand Isle is as southern as a mint julep topped with a Confederate flag umbrella. It's the closest you'll find Nicolas Cage to a Tennessee Williams play. The majority takes place in an old mansion that holds the secrets of its tenants. Cage plays Walter and deepens his Cameron Poe accent while donning a handlebar mustache on top of a grizzly beard. His portrayal is as dark and moody as the film's chiaroscuro lighting, which was not surprisingly directed by Clint Eastwood's right-hand man, Stephen S. Campanelli. But the real story of Grand Isle is that 2 days before the end of principal production, the film was shut down due to lack of funds. The film would be finished, but without its director at the helm. Instead, a pivotal reveal in a Nicolas Cage feature film appears to be shot on nothing more than an iPhone. This is the story of Grand Isle, an almost complete Nicolas Cage film. Stephen S. Campanelli.
Well, I first heard about it through one of the producers on the film, and he said, "Hey, we got the script. It's pretty good." And we didn't, we weren't sure who was going to be in it yet. We just read it, and I thought, well, this is a great script. It's really well written. There's some great intrigue in it. And I said, okay, yeah, sure, I'd love to do it. Because that's my judgment is if I want to see the film that I've just read, then I would love to direct it. And that's Clint's philosophy, too. If it's a good enough film on paper, then he wants to see it in the theater. He'd like to direct it. So I said, yeah, sure, I'd love to be involved. And I was like, a year passed, like most independent movies. You never know when they're going to get made. Literally, I just finished working on The Mule, and I got the call. And he said, all right, you're coming to Louisiana. We're shooting this film. I'm like, what? I just got home. Yeah, well, get on a plane and come turn around. So it just happened suddenly all of a sudden. And all of a sudden I'm in Louisiana prepping this movie. And it was a very short prep, too, so there was a lot of work to be done and finding the locations and stuff like that and all the things that go on in prep. And so it slowly evolved. We worked on the script a little bit, made it a little better, a little tighter, that kind of stuff. And then as that process went on, before the prep, we finally realized that who's perfect for this role. It's Nicolas Cage. He's really freaking awesome, and he was and is, so it really worked out. And then got really lucky with Fancy, with Katie Strickland, who does an amazing job. And then Luke Benward, who played Buddy, who's just incredible also. And Kelsey Grammer, of course. I mean, you just couldn't ask for a better pro right there. So it all fell into place really, really well in terms of the casting.
Looks like it's just me and you. You a football fan?
Or a baseball guy?
Makes sense. You like a soft sport. Ever since the NFL strike, it's been nothing but lies and deception. You know about deception, don't you?
Not sure I follow.
I can tell you're having problems at home. Now, an example. When was the last time you had your cock sucked?
Excuse me?
That long, huh? Big gads. You know what else I can tell?
What's that?
I can tell you want to fuck my wife.
What I miss?
No, we actually we talked over the phone. I never met him until literally, the first day he came in for wardrobe fittings, and we talked over the phone. He sounded great, and again, it's one of these moments, pinch me moments. I'm talking to Nicolas Cage on the phone, and I'm soon to be directing him, which is very cool. So we got along on the phone. He had a couple of good ideas that he wanted to pitch to me when he got here, to Louisiana, and we did. We hit it off like a gang on fire. It was just really great ideas he had, great ideas that I had. We collaborated. He said, yeah, that's good. We're going to go. He's such a pro. I would work with him again in a heartbeat. He's just such a professional and such a good actor. Really, really, it was cool meeting him the first time. He's pretty tall, too, so he's a little intimidating because he's Nicolas Cage. I was like, oh, wow, this is cool. And we just hit it off. He's like Clint. He just kind of disarms you right away, and he goes, hey, let's talk business, So that was kind of neat. He wanted to make Walter a little more mysterious. Like, what's his background? What's his deal? So which wasn't really on the page. So he took it and turned to make it a little weirder. There's a dining room scene, where they're all eating, and he says, we've known each other a long time, multiple lifetimes. So it was kind of hinting at some weird stuff. Like he wasn't sure, or I wasn't sure either where it was going. So, but it made it more mysterious, which I really liked. I thought it was great.
You ever think about your own death?
Not lately.
I think about mine every day. Forces me to have gratitude. That's something you don't know about.
I'm grateful.
You've got a beautiful young wife and daughter at home, and you're messing it all up. Besides, people only know gratitude when they're faced with life and death choices. That's the real tragedy of life. Unappreciation. So what do you see on the USS stock?
How'd you know it was on that ship?
You think I'd just invite anybody into my home? You're all watching on the news. You saw some shit, didn't you, Mr. Action Jackson?
Not really. You know, I mean, it's a fictitious character, so we weren't, sure who we were basing it on. But, I think with Nick, he's just come so prepared. And it's sort of like, I take the Clint Eastwood philosophy also. An actor is an actor, and that's what they do the best. And I don't want to get in their way because they've read the character, they know the character, they have stuff in their head. And as a director, you slowly, nuance the character just with little pushes here and there. But Nick was so good that he just owned the character from the get-go. Sometimes, he might have gone a little too much or too on top, and I had to bring him down a little bit. I had to save it for later. And that's what we did. And so that worked out in terms of that. Something he'd see what I was going for. He'd go, oh, yeah, too soon. Okay, yeah, just wait, and then Nick has this, great way of acting, which is incredible and so passionate. So I said, yeah, I got to save that for a little bit later so it ramps up. And so, yeah, we did a really good teamwork there together.
What did the United States military offer you in return for your service? Nothing. Jack shit. They told us we were the important ones when they shipped us off to war, made us feel like somebody. And then when we returned, they spat on us and called us scumbag filth. This entire system is programmed for the American youth to die so that the blubbery old Washington fat cats can stay rich.
There are those moments definitely with Nick. He can tend to go a bit too big, but to what he's known for and what he's amazing at. So, there's a few times I'm trying to think of an exact example. I'll have to think about it. Maybe it'll come back to me as we're talking. I'll just blurt it out. But yeah, there was a couple of times where I just had to pull him back a little bit, and he did. He was great, and he was cool about it. But he said, look, I'll give you a take with it in case you want to use it, and I'll give you the ones you want. I said, okay, great. And that's what we did. And, in editing, that's where the movie really fleshes itself out really well. So there was times where I went, you know what, he's right. The over-the-top one was a little better at this point, So I used it, or I didn't use it because it wasn't, So it was great to have it. Definitely, as a director, you want everything you can when you're in the editing room.
Before you two lovebirds escape reality together, there's something you should know, buddy. You like dangerous things, don't you? Have a look in our basement. You're gonna love it.
What's down there?
You're gonna love it! Yeah!
Let's just go.
No.
He's right here in my pocket. Come and get him. See for yourself what kind of woman you want to run with. You think I got a dark side? You have no idea.
Oh yeah, he's got that whatever thing he does, and it's great. He said he got that from I believe he said it was an old girlfriend or something like that that used to do that. And, he based it on that. So he always, as every good actor does, you take stuff from reality and use it in your character. And that's what he did. So that was great. I love that when he did that. And it was such a great reference from, some past life that he had. It was great again. It was he wanted a lot of blood. He says, we had to have a lot of blood. It was a big fight. I go, yeah, it's great. I love it. Let's do it. And then he's got that bleeding hand, which is just pouring out when he says, did you have to stab me so hard? We just put a ton of blood in there and rolled the camera. So yeah, when he's at the foot of the stairs tied up there, his acting is so great. He's just so wound up from being, knocked out and dragged out and all that kind of stuff. And he just kind of slowly ramps it up, and he's getting more maniacal, which I love. And that was one of those moments where I told him, let that build, let it simmer, like a pot of boiling water on the stove. Just let it slowly simmer. You start seeing the bubbles, and then all of a sudden, boom, the pot just explodes with bubbles and steam and everything. And he was like, yeah, great. And so that's what we did. It was great to watch the other actors work with him on that, because he was just consistent every take. And I'm not a big fan of a lot of takes, so they all knew that we're going to have to come prepared. We're going to shoot the rehearsal. I have 2 cameras going at all times to make sure I capture all these great performances. And there's some surprises when you're working with Nic, so that's great. The other actors have to react to what he's doing too, and it's great. And so I'm always watching the other actors also while I'm shooting the main actor, because I see stuff that they do off camera that maybe I should go, yeah, you know what, you should do this again, because you did it, probably subconsciously while you were listening to Nic. Like, oh yeah, great. So I think that is sign of a good director, where you start looking at everything around you, because you never know what you can use later.
That's all right. That's okay. Because this here, me and you, this is destiny.
Why's that?
$20,000.
Why are you showing it to me?
It's what I'm going to pay you to kill my wife.
Got a weird sense of humor, man.
6 months ago, she was diagnosed with terminal blood cancer. And there ain't no coming back from that. She's about to start suffering real bad, like you wouldn't believe. And I just, I'd do it myself, but I haven't got the heart. I'll make it real easy for you. Cyanide. You just cover her mouth with it and she'll be gone in minutes. You just,
Yeah, that was him too, I didn't know, it's the first time we rolled and he did that, and I was just, this is awesome. It's like when you're watching the monitor, you're just watching genius being created at that moment, and just go, this is brilliant. Like, that is something that, yeah, maybe a really top-notch director would ask an actor to do, but I just let it go, and it was just so brilliant. I go, well, I wouldn't have thought of that. That's perfect. So that's when you get Nic Cage in your movie. That's what he brings. He brings all these great little touches to the character. Like, he came not with the long hair, but he did have the little like goatee kind of beard thing, and I kind of liked it. And I think the producers wanted him clean shaven, because they were like, he's Nic Cage. We want to see his face. And I'm like, yeah, we know it's Nic Cage, no matter what he's covered in, So we're gonna be okay. And so Nic and I talked about that. We said, yeah, he should be kind of shaggy a little bit, unkept. Doesn't really care. That's why him and his wife aren't that intimate anymore. That kind of stuff. And so it worked. It worked for the character. And as you said, it works perfectly for him. And he looks great in that kind of thing. So we added a bit of longer, shaggy hair kind of thing, if you want to call it that. And it just worked great. And at the end, of course, he's all clean shaven in his military uniform, and he looks amazing. He actually, the ending, where he comes out in the military uniform and he's got the gun to the wife's head and all that. Originally it was written that that's his big moment. That's the Nic Cage moment we're all waiting for. Crazy, nutty, loud, over the top. And we were all waiting for that because I kind of kept him a little bit bridled throughout the whole movie to let him go with that. And then he had said that morning, he says, I was thinking about it. So I think maybe I should go a little softer and do the opposite of what everyone's expecting. And I went, yeah, that's great. I think that's really cool because it's an inner turmoil that he's going through. He knows he's going to do what he's about to do. And, it's just an inner turmoil. And it worked out great. I think it was great because you could just feel he wants to explode, and he just doesn't. And I think it was actually a lot more powerful. So that's one of the opposite things where he just went the other direction. But it was a big change from what we had all thought and planned. So that was kind of cool. Yeah, exactly. It was sort of like that. We were talking about old classics, kind of making it, basically you have the time to let your character simmer. A lot of films today go really fast. It's just like it was got ADD kind of thing. This, I said, we want to make, Buddy Walter's character really simmer. And so that's why the dinner table scene, it's such an awkward scene. And I said, take your time. I'm not going to cut really quick. I want to savor these awkward, weird moments, and especially when the Buddy comes to the door for the first time and Nick is staring him up and down, there's this great awkward moment where he just holds on and sucks on his cigar. And it's just like really great moments. I love doing that because nowadays everyone just cuts so quickly. And I just love giving the actors time to just let their characters breathe. And so that was kind of some of the old school sensibilities that we put into this film. Well, to be honest, because of our incredibly tight schedule, I was just so crazy. We didn't get to talk that much. I would have loved to. Like I went to his trailer almost every day to just talk about that day's work and if he had any changes and notes. And he'd always have a few, like he'd say, I'm not going to say this line. Yep, get rid of that. Or I would have a thought at night and I'd go, I want to tell Nick about this. So we talked mostly about the movie itself and what the day's work was going to be. But unfortunately, because I was so nuts, I was working 7 days a week. I didn't really get a chance to just sit down and talk, old movies with him and his career and all that kind of stuff, And, you look at, he was the biggest actor in the world, 20 years ago. I mean, the biggest. And he was amazing in all those films. And, The Rock and Con Air and Face Off. It was back to back to back, And so, I grew up watching him and going, this guy's, a legend. And just having him around me all the time was just so cool, And every once in a while I'd have 2 seconds to sit next to him in the chair. But I was so exhausted that we would just talk about, whatever we're doing next, that kind of thing. So he is an incredible cinephile. Like he can quote movies from anywhere, music, and he's really great that way. But I just never had that opportunity, unfortunately. One other Nic Cage note was kind of cool. While we were doing Grand Isle, we were in Baton Rouge, they were showing Mandy there on the theater. And so we went to see it. So I got to watch Mandy with Nic Cage, which is kind of cool. But we snuck in like the back row and we sat in the back and then people obviously realized it was him. So they all got they kept turning around. It was really funny. It's like any celebrity. People start going, hey, so-and-so's here. So that was kind of cool. And then at the end, he talked to everybody and, signed some autographs. No, he took some pictures, that kind of thing. That was kind of cool. Yeah, because obviously he had seen it a few times. I had already seen it before, too. So it was just cool going, I'm watching Nic Cage. It's kind of cool. It's like that movie that they're going to be making this year about Nic Cage being Nic Cage, It was at night, and as soon as it was over, like, I got to go to bed. We got to work tomorrow morning. So it was like one of those moments that, watched it and I laughed, and I would have loved to pick his brain about it. But no, he didn't talk much about that. I mean, he's an open book. Like, if you ask him the question, he'll definitely answer. But I just honestly didn't have the time to really sit down and have great long conversations with him. So really, now I'm really starting to realize how much I should have really spent more time, but I didn't have the time. So,
What you think?
Oh, there he is, Mr. Negotiator all of a sudden.
I ended up, on the day 18, I guess, of 20, we ended up wrapping the movie because unfortunately the production ran out of money and they couldn't pay the crew. And obviously I don't want anybody to work for free. And so we shut down. And I did go to everybody when we wrapped. And I said, guys, I'm really sad to say, but I don't think we're coming back tomorrow. And I really appreciate all your hard work and effort. We're going to make the best film we can, and I'm sure we're going to come. And this is what I was, sure of. I said, I'm coming back. We're going to finish this. I hope you're all available because, it's very busy in Louisiana. and hope to have you all back. And they all clapped. They were a great crew. There was a lot of heart and soul there, and they saw how hard it was to make this film because of a lot of, just issues in terms of money and things like that weren't there, and organization and all that. And they were all there, so there was really, great spirit. But unfortunately, I never got to go back. I mean, I went back to edit, and that was the only thing I got to do. And then didn't really get to see anybody. And then I went, all right, well, hopefully at some point we'll get the money back and we'll finish this movie. And so I went away and I left Louisiana. I went home, and then 3 or 4 months later, going, what's going on? We're finishing the movie, and then, oh yeah, sure, we're gonna finish it. Great. I'm waiting, and then unfortunately, they came back to me and said, yeah, no, we don't have any more money, and we're just gonna have to, finish the film with what you've got. And I'm like, well, what I've got, I don't have the ending. I don't have this whole what's in the basement thing, and the audience has been waiting for it for the entire movie. I mean, we knew we had 20 days, and I was ready for the next 2 days of filming, and one day was completely devoted to what's in the basement, let's find out, and I had a Technocrane booked, which is, an extendable crane that does these really cool moves, and we're going to reveal what's behind the wall in a very cool cinematic way with great music and dark lighting and shadows, and, almost like a horror film, like scare the audience right at the very end, almost like the Carrie moment where the hand comes out of the grave, that kind of thing, scare everybody, go to black, the film ends, and everyone's like, oh man, that was awesome. But I never got to do that, and that's the part that hit me the hardest. It was really, really tough not to be able to finish the film the way it deserved to be done. And they're like, well, you have to figure something out, try and do something. So I ended up, making a little montage and also doing a lot of voiceover, which to me as a director, I felt like it's a big cheat to the audience. So, and then all of a sudden, I did that, and it was okay. It just wasn't great. It wasn't the film I wanted to make. And then when the film got released, I discovered there was some additional footage that was shot by someone in the movie that wasn't me. I didn't shoot it, and it cheapened the film. It wasn't shot very well. It looked like it was shot on an iPhone and was out of focus, and the acting was terrible, and I wasn't involved at all. So I was very, very shocked when that happened, and I was very disappointed that they would release this film with a lower quality than what the audience deserves. You're gonna see a Nic Cage movie, you want some quality. I mean, they're not all quality, but I like to, my name is on this film, so I want to have the best quality I can get, and that just wasn't it. So I was very sad and disappointed that they ended up releasing the film the way it was at the end. I'm very proud of most of the film because I think the performances are great. I think it looks great. My cinematographer, Eric Monnier, did a really, really great job. I had a wonderful camera team. They were all great. And so to, end up on that kind of note was really, really disappointing. And I, especially with my name on it, I just wasn't very happy about that. But, that's part of the independent film world, I guess. So it's, what can you do? I guess lesson learned. Next time I have to get the producer credit so I can be involved in all that post-production a little more. We didn't have a lot of money in this film at all. So to have the film look as great as it does, and the performance is a testament to the crew and the cast that I had, and all my team that made it look really good. So I'm very proud of that. That's sort of what I'm known for. My first other 2 movies were also low budget, and they looked really high budget. So I really pride myself on doing stuff like that to make the film look as best as it can, and to have the best story I can. So it was really hard pill to swallow for sure, and I expected to be there a few more days, but I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm leaving. So as a director, the wind gets taken out of your sails, and you're just kind of, they're going, I got to finish this movie. My name's on this thing, And so as you heard the story earlier, it just never got finished the way I wanted. So it's just very disappointing, and it shouldn't be that way. So like I said, I'm going to definitely tie it up in my contract next time. So the ending that I wanted to shoot, you're teasing the audience the entire movie about what's in the basement, and they deserve to see what's in the basement, and needs to be shot in a way that is justifying of everyone's ideas of what's in it. It's almost like Jaws, you don't show the shark. You tease it throughout the entire movie because the audience can always imagine something worse than you can show them. And so that's what I was trying to do at the end. I was waiting for the audience to imagine what was down there. In terms of the sound design, I was going to put all these weird sounds. Like, is that kids? Is it children? Is it somebody crying? Is it a baby? It's like all these weird sound design choices that I was going to do. Then how I was going to shoot it was I even had this piece of equipment booked called a techno crane, which is a crane that self-extends itself so you can float over objects and all that. And so we had actually built this basement for the end of the movie with, complete wall and all that stuff. And what I was going to do was have this techno crane almost sneak through, almost like Halloween, like a horror film where the camera is just moving behind boxes and cobwebs and chains and things, very dark, moody lighting. And the sound is building. It's like almost like a heartbeat, and the crane is going towards this wall. And as you're going towards the wall, we would overlap the police that were down in the basement that, the days earlier, breaking down the wall. And then as the camera goes through, so it would flash between a real wall that wasn't broken down and a wall that was broken down to discover what was on the other side. So it would be going back and forth in terms of dissolving. And then as the crane gets to the big hole in the wall, we crane up and we look down into it, and you would have seen all this squalor back there, like these frightened children just, looking at the policemen's flashlights as they come back into the dissolve, and, looking up, and just all dirty, and, like a baby sitting on the ground in a blanket, just all kind of, stuff crawling around, and for just frightened looks. And then I would have just instantly cut to upstairs where they were being interrogated, and then come back down into the basement. And this is all happening in real time, but yet it's at the end of the movie. I'm not explaining it very well, but if you had seen it, it would have been very cool. It would have been really shocking. Then I would have just ended up like fade to black with a very powerful, loud sound to kind of jolt the audience out of their seats at the end, to give them that big wow factor, like, holy crap, that was cool. And that's how the film ends. But unfortunately, it didn't end that way. And so, the audience does get cheated out a little bit. And, I don't want to short sell the movie. Hopefully people will still go and see it if they haven't seen it yet on all the platforms. But, it's a shame I didn't get to finish it the way I wanted to. Nic was very supportive. He, with the issues I had and the troubles and, constantly, which as a creative director, you shouldn't be worrying about all this stuff about money and things and the crew not getting paid and all that. So, I did have a lot more on my plate than I normally would. So, but Nic was very supportive. He says, "Is there anything I can do? If you need me to make any phone calls, if you, whatever." And I was like, "Oh, great, thank you." So, I really appreciate him having my back. It's awesome. But I never got to get involved with him on the ending, and I wish I had more. So, but as you know, he's an incredibly busy actor. He was all over the world, so it was hard to get a hold of him. And it was just, I guess, in a way, I don't know if he could have done anything, to be honest with you. And that really made me sad, because I would have loved, someone of his stature to just step in and go, okay, yeah, no, we're not releasing this movie. But he didn't have that power or authority to do that. So I thought, oh, it's not going to go anywhere anyways. But I really wish I could have gotten more involved and to explain to him. I guess hopefully if he hears this podcast, he'll go, oh, okay, now I understand how the film ended up like that. So we'll see what happens. Oh, I'd love to do another film with him for sure in a heartbeat. It was such a good experience. I wish I had, like you asking me those questions about talks with him, I really wish I had more time to just sit down and just chat, fireside chat with Nicolas Cage, because he just does have so many great stories and memories, and that's the only regret I have. And hopefully I'll get to work with him again and be able to do that.
It's over. We gotta run.
You're not leaving this house.
You all set to run off with that money all of a sudden. You want to stay?
It was in.
You want to go to jail? Is that what you
No, but
You're not dragging me into this twisted shit of yours. Wanted to expand our family. This is on. Oscar, my cat is stuck up in the tree. Would you shoot him down for me? What? I said my cat is stuck up in a tree. Would you shoot him down for me?
Yeah, if you shoot my cat down the tree was, I believe, well, that was definitely 100% Nic added that. That was not in the script. That was, I wish I could get it right. I can't remember now. It's from a film either he did a long, long time ago or someone else did, and he just liked that line. It was just so ridiculous, and he just threw that in there. And I went, yeah, that's great, because it's sort of like the guy's reaction is like, what? you know, and so it takes the guy off guard, and then he smacks him. So yeah, that was 100% Nick. It was great. I loved it.